Hello friends, it's Dave here from SaveDex and welcome to part 2 of a gaming memories video where we talk about Mario Strikers and Mario Sunshine. Part 1 is linked in the top pinned comment where we go on about Mario Strikers in that part, but we only sort of scratched the surface of Mario Sunshine, so part 2 we're going to be talking about that. And like in the first part, I've got Logan from Nintendo Hub with me. Say hello, Logan.
Yo, how's everyone doing?
Doing good. So Logan's channel Nintendo Hub is linked in the top pinned comments as well. He does some excellent videos over there. Big physical collector, aren't you?
Yes, huge physical collector.
Yeah.
I have a gigantic collection of over 100 games and I update it every so often, so
That's
yeah.
it's more than even I've got, man. So so I felt like we only scratched the surface on Mario Sunshine. You were saying it's like one of your favourite games from your childhood, and you had talked quite sentimentally about it last time, but we kind of ran out of time, so
Yeah.
I thought we'd do this again, and we can talk more about the levels themselves, as we didn't go really into depth with that.
Yeah, sure.
So one unique thing about Mario Sunshine's levels is the themes of them, because obviously it's all set on one island and they are sort of, you can sort of see some levels from other levels, as so you feel like it's all one big place.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. It felt like one of the biggest whenever it came to that, because you could see levels from other levels. It felt very open, so I enjoyed that part of it a lot personally.
Yeah, and also the theming, because you think of a Mario game, especially 2D ones, you're like, okay, you got your grass level, you got your snow level, you got your desert level, you got your underwater level, and your lava level stuff. But this one, like, you have like, the first one is sort of grassy, but there's windmills, and you have one that's a harbour, one that's on the beach, one that's a theme park, and one that's a hotel. So it was quite unique in the, it sort of stuck to a sort of island theme, like things you would find on an island resort. But for a Mario game, that was quite a unique thing to do.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I personally, what I loved about the levels the most was, as you said, the variety. Like, they even changed up the certain stuff that was in the level. Like, some of them had certain enemies that weren't in other, parts of the mission or level, whatever you want to call it. And that to me is what made it super unique, because like in the more modern Marios, I think they're all fantastic. Let me just get that out of the way. So I'm not hating on modern Mario, but in the Mario Sunshine, it felt like every level was completely different, whereas in some of the modern Marios, it's like, yeah, this looks different, but a lot of the stuff kind of feels the same. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
Sometimes things you do in one level, like one mission, then the next mission, what you did in the previous one will affect the world in this next one, like it's continuing from that.
Yeah, and I think the coolest thing, I think I said this in your other video too, was the coolest thing was, the water gun. It's not called a water gun, I know that, but the thing that shoots water off on your backpack. I forgot what it's
The
called.
flood pack.
Yeah, that, when you shoot the walls with the Mario logo on it, they open up new worlds. And I just always thought that was cool, because, there's a lot of people that were just like, games doing that was impossible back in the day when they saw things like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, for example, when they were going through the rifts and whatnot. And I'm just like, dude, they literally kind of did that in Mario Sunshine. Like,
Oh yeah, like the portals to other worlds.
it was the
thing.
closest thing to it anyway, was that I can think of.
Yeah. So if we go through sort of the levels themselves now and just talk about what our favourite things about them are. So the first one was Bianco Hills. Now that was the level where you had PT Piranha.
Yes.
And PT Piranha I found extremely annoying back in the day, and I was so annoyed when he was revealed as a character in Mario Kart Double Dash, because I just hated that character in Sunshine, just because I found him to be a very annoying boss to fight, especially the second time you fight him when he's flying around.
Yeah. I really did not like, especially the first fight with PD Piranha, because it's kind of like, what exactly do I do here to beat PD Piranha? That was kind of the way that I looked at it. And then once you learn it, of course, it's relatively easy. But at the same time, you you have to wear. Sorry, I was getting a spam call. I was wondering why my bed was vibrating. But
All right.
you wonder how to beat PD Piranha, but then once you get it, it's easy. But until then, he's just a nuisance. Like, he comes out of nowhere and he just starts biting you, starts stomping you. He just does all this stuff, and when you don't know how to beat him, he's a pain in the butt. But whenever you learn, you're like, ha!
Yeah. Especially in the second fight as well. When you watch speedruns of this game, they say that this is an RNG fight because depending on what attacks he does, it depends on how fast you can beat him. And when something like that gets in the way, it can affect how fast you can get through a game.
Yeah, that I can picture, like, the one where he's the second one that you're talking about. I can picture that one really being a pain for speedrunners.
Yeah, and also obviously the other levels have these as well, but this was the first time a lot of people would have seen this in this game. Is you had those levels where you get the flood pack stolen off you, and you have the traditional 2D, not 2D, the traditional linear platforming stages without the flood pack to help you. Yeah. What did you think of those?
I think that they were still good, even though I think personally what made Mario Sunshine as good as it was and what made it unique was the flood pack. So when they took it away, I was kind of like, this is, if you like traditional 3D Mario, you probably will still enjoy it, but if you were there for the uniqueness that Mario Sunshine brought, I bet those levels ticked off a lot of people. That's how I feel.
Yeah, there's one thing about these that I had a problem with back then, was because obviously in, say, Mario 64, there was one move he had called the long jump, which wasn't in Sunshine. Now, you didn't need that because the flood pack could hover you for that distance. But when you had that flood pack removed, I was like, I just wished I could long jump in these areas. But obviously, and sometimes there would be moving platforms that would take a while that you're sort of waiting around for as well. But I do enjoy the challenge of these stages. Obviously, if you fall as well, then that's it, you're back at the beginning as well. But the music was good. You had sort of like the a cappella of the Mario theme over them as well.
Yeah.
And also if you beat it and go back into the area where that level was, you get to do it again with the flood pack, and it's like an 8 red coins times challenge, and I absolutely love things like that. Yes. Like tough times challenges. I that's my thing in video games, really.
That is such an awesome thing that old school games do that new school games just don't do usually, and I love that about older games. It's like most of them were single player, but they all come out and they're just like, okay, so you want to do this thing, you got to do it traditionally first. You got to do it the way we intended. But if you want to come back, we got a challenge map in the same area that you love set up right now that you can go back with all of the stuff from the game, like the flood pack or whatever game you're playing, and you can go in and you can just immediately just take over with that stuff. It is awesome. I love that stuff.
That's always good. And also the other thing to mention is that you see on every level again is they're actually called episodes, the different missions. I've just read. But episode 7 was always defeating Shadow Mario. Now these could either go on for a very long time or a few seconds, depending on how good you are with this. Yeah. I'm a bit hit and miss with them, about how quick I do them.
Yeah, and I mean, I love the whole, as I said, I think, again, in your other video, the whole, aspect of how they made Mario get framed as a criminal. I always thought that was a really interesting story beat. Because they usually never take Mario to that extent where they're just like, okay, we're going to make Mario look like the bad guy and you got to clear his name. He's usually, always the good guy. You're always going after Bowser doing something crappy or something like that, and then you just move on from there. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, there was a bit more of a story to this overall, but also the evil doppelganger has sort of since then become a big cliche in games, especially with Nintendo's franchises. I mean, just look, you have Samus with Dark Samus, Pit with Dark Pit, Link has a Shadow Link, doesn't he? And Sonic has Shadow as well in Sonic Adventure 2. So, yeah, obviously back then it was still a thing in games, but not as prevalent as we see since.
So I actually do want to talk about one thing with it too, and the reason why it's one of my favorite Mario games, and honestly, it's one of my favorite games in general. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It's just because whenever you guys play through Mario Sunshine, like, I'm always a guy that says unique in quality is better than quantity. So, like, that's why personally, just for an example, I really like Mario Odyssey, because it felt unique, it had a lot of quality, and it wasn't overly long. Like, it wasn't forcing its way to be like a 20-30 hour game like some of these other games do. And that's what I like about Mario Sunshine, is the fact that it doesn't overstay its welcome. It does a really unique take. It has really cool levels. Like, everything that you would want from a Mario game level-wise is in here, guys. Like, seriously. Like, you think of a level from Mario that you would want, it's in Sunshine. And, of course, my favorite, most nostalgic level is the first level, because I still remember getting my butt kicked by PD Piranha. That's my most fond memory of this game. But at the same time, there's so many other things, like as he said, when they take the flood pack away from you and you gotta play it like a traditional Mario game, there's so many things that this game does correct in the Mario, I guess, lore or whatever, that you need to just play it. Like, if you either want to get it through 3D All-Stars, you might be able to get it separately on the eShop. I'm not 100% sure. Don't use the eShop, so I don't know. And you can also get it on the GameCube. Obviously, you can play it the way it was intended to be played, but I 100% suggest that you guys play this game. It's a must-have.
I will say, at the time of recording, although 3D All-Stars obviously isn't being made anymore, and you can't buy it on the eShop, but even today I was at a shop and I saw them selling it for normal price still. Like, the shops still do have copies of 3D All-Stars to sell for normal price.
Oh yeah, I kind of figured that they would probably not cycle through all of them for like at least a year or somewhere around there.
Yeah, so there's that. But the other thing I was going to say on you saying about the whole... Yeah, I agree with you fully on the quality over quantity, like games not being overly long, because that was a sort of a thing about, obviously, Metroid Dread recently came out, and yeah, a lot of people are saying it's only like an 8-hour game, but I'm like, I prefer an 8-hour game to like a 50-hour game.
Thank you.
Because if a game's like 50 hours long, I'm not going to see the whole game. I'm not going to have the time to beat it, but an 8-hour game's just perfect length for me.
Yeah, and another thing too is going on to the video game length thing. Metroid Dread is my game of the year, and the reason that I hate the whole 8-hour argument is because whenever you really play the game, like, you do everything in Dread, the game is over 20 hours. Like, people don't know that. It's a really long game, and also it's made to be played through more than once. So if you're buying it just to play through it once and it's an 8-hour game, then yeah, sure, you're going to be disappointed with it because, it's... you're just playing through it once, you play the story, and you're like, alright, screw this game, I'm done with it. And, I mean, no offense to Sony, but that's what their games are for. Nintendo makes their games to make gameplay first, fun-oriented, and the story kind of takes the backseat. Like, I mean, Metroid Dread is a great story, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying the storyline takes the backseat to everything else. Like, you're playing that game strictly for the gameplay, just like Mario Sunshine. This game is long if you want it to be, short if you don't. That's the best way to describe it, because if you want to play through the levels and just go straight through them and then play through them again and again and again, but not 100% them, then you're probably looking at like a 8 to 10 hour long game, maybe even shorter than that for Sunshine. But if you're looking to 100% this game, it's going to take you forever. Same thing with Dread. All these games are designed the same way by Nintendo, that if you want it to be really short, it can be, and if you want it to be extremely long, it can be. I know just as many people that put 50, like 30, 40 hours into Breath of the Wild as I do people that put in like over 1,000. So like, their game's length really just depends on what you want to do with it.
Yeah, definitely, especially with Sunshine, just finding all the blue coins. You don't have to do that at all to beat the game, but if you want 100% it, you do. And the blue coin hunt is just wastes a lot, well, not really waste, but uses up a lot of time to try and track them all down, especially because, and obviously, I'm guessing you could say product of the time here, but there are some one of sort of like the shortcomings in Sunshine is there's no checklist for blue coins, so you don't know if it had just told you, because it tells you that checklist of how many shines there are on each level and how many you've got, but it doesn't do that for blue coins, and it kind of needs that. So I had to use a guide to find all the blue coins.
Yeah.
So again, you can speed it up by using a guide if you want, but if you really want to try and find them all without a guide, then good luck to you.
100%ing a game too is like, I'm a game collector, so when I do buy a game and I add it to the collection, I buy it because I want to play it. So whenever I play through it, I kind of want to 100% it because I bought this game at full price. I bought it for what it is, and it's just, I'm trying to find the right words here. It's just that whenever you are a game collector and you fall in love with the game enough to buy it for your collection, you want to 100% it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just want to play it and be like, okay, I beat the story, I'm done. Like, that's why I thought that collecting for the PS4 was boring, because I would buy games and I would just play through the stories and then I would never go back to them. The only game I think out of all of them I 100%ed was the Spider-Man game from 2018. And,
I love that one.
Even that one, like towards the end of my 100% run, I was kind of like, this is getting a little boring. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Like, there are some companies that invent their games to be 100%ed, which I think Nintendo is one of those. And there are some companies that just don't care and they want to make it where it's really fun for a playthrough or two, and then you're just done with it unless you fall really in love with it. And that's where I think Nintendo lies in the whole, they want you to 100% their games, they want you to buy and collect their games, they want these games to live on forever. Like, look at games like Mario 64 and Sunshine. They literally put out 3D All-Stars because there's people in 2021 that still want to play these games, but they don't have an N64 or a GameCube. So that's proof.
Yeah. And it's telling about how a lot of sort of reviewers and people as well were sort of criticised 3D All-Stars for just basically being copy and paste, not properly like remaking them or anything. They still sold in the millions though.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of dumb to criticize a game for that. Like, I get it if they said that that's what they were doing and they didn't do it, then sure. Like, with the GTA trilogy recently, they promised that they were going to touch up the graphics, make the frame rates better, all this stuff, and all that sort of stuff going on with it. But they promised that it would be great. They basically promised GTA 5, but with the older games, and they didn't deliver. But all that Nintendo promised was, we're going to put 3 Amazing Mario games on one cart, and if you want it, go buy it, and if you don't, oh well. They didn't tell you that they were going to fully remake Galaxy, which that would be freaking amazing, by the way. Please do it, Nintendo. But at the same time, they'd never promised that. Like, if they released them separately and said these are full-blown remakes, and then they were just N64 emulators, then yeah, be pissed at them, scream at them, go after them. That they deserve it at that point. But they just said that they're just bringing games over. They never promised you anything crazy.
Oh yeah. So anyway, moving on. The next level. Do you remember RICCO Harbour?
Not too fondly actually, but I'm sure once you start talking about it, I'll remember.
Well, the main memory I have of it, well, 2 memories really. Well, three memories actually, looking at the list. First is the boss of this level is Glooper Blooper, probably the most gruesome boss fight in all of Mario.
I actually think I do
because
remember
you've got to pull his tentacles off.
Yes, I do know that. Oh my god. Okay.
And I remember first seeing this boss in a magazine, the one I mentioned last time. Doing a preview of this game, because they've been to this conference where they showed off pictures and stuff and gameplay, and they said the picture of it, and they said they think this might be a boss fight, but from what they saw, it looked more like an ally that you need to help out or something. And I'm like, man, they could not have been more wrong there.
Yeah. And
Mario mutilates this thing.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I'm so surprised, again, why this game is unique. Name another Mario game where he literally freaking rips off their legs to win a fight. Like, please.
Like the second you said that,
Okay, so
I was like, oh my god, I remember this level now because it's literally considered the most violent Mario level of all time.
Yeah. So the second memory of this one is the blooper surfing.
No, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember that one too much at all.
What you do is there's these bloopers you can ride on the water, and there's a racetrack you go around first, and then secondly there's 8 red coins to get under a time limit, and again one of them really hard challenges that I absolutely love. Says that. Then the third one, which is not a very good memory of it, is Yoshi's Fruit Adventure.
Yeah, I do
which was
remember that part.
where you had to sort of use his juice, because Yoshi, like I said last time, you have to make him eat fruit to turn a different colour, and then he spits out juice of that colour, and the enemies turn into platforms when he does that, and depending on the colour depends whether like the platform moves horizontally or vertically.
Yeah.
And you had to sort of spit out juices of certain colours to get the platforms to move a certain way to get Yoshi up somewhere. And I remember finding that really difficult, but at least it was an optional chimes. You didn't need to do it to beat the game.
Yeah, it's just something fun to do, which again goes back to the greatness of old video games.
Okay, so the third level was Gelato Beach.
I do remember this one a little bit.
So this is what I was saying earlier. You had one of the missions was to get the mirrors to point at the big egg.
Yeah.
And when you do that, there's a later mission where the sandbirds spawn.
Yeah.
And you have to ride on its back and get the 8 red coins.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people don't like this mission because they find themselves constantly like falling through the sandbird like a glitch, but that didn't really happen to me. I did still find this a hard mission, but not for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, the mission is extremely hard, and I actually did encounter the thing where you fall through the bird. I didn't encounter it much, though.
I have seen videos of it happening to people, but in all honesty, it never happened to me. I did fall off a lot, but I never went through its wings. But that's just me.
Yeah, I did, and let me tell you, it's very rage-inducing when it happens more than once, because I had it happen to me 3 times in a row. But
oh, nasty.
Yeah, instead of being like maybe some other people with it, where they're just kind of like, oh, screw this, the game's broken, I'm done. I just kept trying till it worked, and then eventually it worked, and I loved it after that. So
yeah, good. It's satisfying when you do it.
Yeah.
Then the other 2 things. There's that Wiggler fight where you have to like raise the sandcastles to knock him upside down.
Yes, and I love the creativity of that, man.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing I love about Nintendo in general, especially with Mario, is they always find the most unique, lighthearted ways to kill something.
Except for Glooper.
Yeah, except for him. He got mutilated. But everybody else, like, you killed someone with a sand castle in that game. Like, what?
That's cool. And then the other mission people remember, and I remember this game, is that watermelon festival where you had to push the giant watermelon over to the juicer thing.
I love that
part. And it was the most fragile thing ever, and it was so easy to knock it off the drop and it smashes. And yeah, that one was an annoying one to do.
It was, but I love it.
A very difficult one.
I love it, though.
Oh, yeah, I love the challenge in it.
And it's so comical. Like, every time it broke, I just bursted out laughing. Like, I didn't even... It wasn't one of those things that pissed me off. I was kind of just sitting there like, ha ha, look, it broke again. Woo! And then I just kept going until it worked.
Yeah.
Oh, it must be nice.
So I always got the idea that they're like... cause they kind of feel like balloons when you're pushing them a bit. Like...
Yeah, and it was just so much fun. It kind of felt like, I feel like there's probably a Mario Party minigame inspired by it, but it felt like a Mario Party minigame. Like, that's why I think I liked it the most. Like, even the camera angle and everything when you're doing it, it felt like a minigame.
Yeah, I could see that being a Mario Party minigame. That'll cause more arguments than Mario Party ever had.
You'll have a lot of people cussing each other out over that one, that's for sure. they did ever add it.
Especially if you're trying to protect your watermelon from the others.
Yeah, especially if they put like a star in the watermelon, and whoever like lays theirs alive the longest gets a star. Oh god, talk about a war.
Yeah. Okay, so the next level, which is where really the story really escalates, is Pinner Park, which is the theme park on the island.
Yes, I love this part.
So this was actually Bowser Jr.'s debut.
Yes, my boy Bowser Jr. I love him.
Yeah, because
I'm sorry.
Because I thought, oh, it's Baby Bowser was what I first thought, but no, Baby Bowser is Bowser as a baby from the Yoshi games. But Bowser Jr., despite Baby Bowser having Bowser Jr.'s model in the newer Yoshi games for some reason, Bowser Jr. is different to Baby Bowser. It's Bowser's son. And yeah, so this one you have that epic battle with the Mecha Bowser on the roller coaster.
That's my favorite part in this whole damn game.
Yeah, that is my favourite boss fight. And again, a very creative boss fight. Like, giant robot, nothing new. But riding on a roller coaster to shoot rockets at it, amazing.
And just the fact that it's a robot Bowser. Like, it's not just any robot. Like, it's not like you're going out here just randomly fighting Mecha Godzilla or something. You're fighting Bowser. It's kind of like whenever you're in... Yeah. What was the 3D game that was re-released? It was 3D World, right? For the Switch?
Yes.
That one with the Bowser's Fury mode. Imagine the giant Bowser from Bowser's Fury, but it's a robot. Like...
Yeah, pretty much.
That's... and if anybody hasn't played Bowser's Fury, what are you doing, by the way? Holy crap, that's awesome.
Definitely, yeah.
But...
Yeah, press pause on this video. Order Bowser's Fury.
Exactly.
Then
download it.
Then press play again.
And while it's downloading, listen to us talk about it so you can get hype about it.
My goodness, you're recommending people to go digital here.
No, buy the physical so you don't even have to download it. Smart. Smart moves. Smart moves.
Okay. And then you got something that I found very bizarre was because Bowser Jr. thinks that Peach is his mama. And Peach's response to that is, "I'm your mama?" And I'm like, Peach, how are you convinced by that?
He's like, Peach, how does this compute? I'm pretty sure that if you and Bowser...
I think you'd remember giving birth to that thing.
If you and Bowser did the whoop-de-whoop, I'm pretty sure you'd be dead too, you know? Like, Bowser's like, what, 10 feet, 20 feet tall? 4,000 pounds at least? Like, bro.
Oh, man. Like, I remember when so obviously I played this before my brother. My brother's never beaten this game actually, but when he played it a bit after me and he got to that bit and that cutscene goes, he just turns to me and goes, "Peach has had sex with Bowser." But we know in the future, in the end of this game, that Bowser was lying to Bowser Jr. about it. But we'll get there.
I mean, thank God. I mean, Peach has probably broken every bone in her body if that happened. Oh, God.
So, it gave Bowser... So you had to sympathise with Bowser Jr. because he seemed to think that Mario had kidnapped his mum.
Yeah.
And he was rescuing her. And also a thing that they never really elaborated on in this game or future games is he has his magic brush, which is what's been causing all this mayhem, and it has EGAD's symbol on it.
Yeah.
And he says a strange old man in the white coat he got it from, and Floods then has the same symbol on it and says and recognises the description. So EGAD created Flood and the paintbrush, but it's never mentioned again as far as I know. Like, EGAD's not in this game. Obviously he was in Luigi's Mansion just before this game came out, but like, why did they not? Because I remember being sort of fascinated because they're really expanding the Mario lore here, but they didn't really go anywhere with that.
I mean, they definitely should have, in my opinion, just because I just think it'd be really cool to, like, have a villain outside of Bowser, like a legitimate, because that would be the main villain of the game. Like, Bowser would kind of just, be like that side villain that's just a nuisance, but he's not really the main problem if they did that. And I'm wondering if that's why they didn't show him, is because they wanted to still keep it like the whole Mario versus Bowser thing. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, because they also had the evil Mario, who was, you know, in my opinion, the main villain of the game. So
yeah, he's the one you see most, and Bowser Jr. is, because it was Bowser Jr. in disguise, wasn't it? So
yeah,
Bowser Jr. is part of the final boss battle, but
yeah, but
yeah, it's a
still
shame.
though, it's just like I'm wondering if they masked that part because they were thinking, you know, like we want to push this newer villain and like with the evil Mario and Bowser Jr. instead of pushing EGAT, you know.
Well, say because Egad was an ally in Luigi's Mansion, but yeah, let's just maybe they did have that in mind, but they wanted to keep Egad as a good guy, or maybe like Bowser Jr. nicked the brush off him. Who knows?
Yeah, and
But why would Egad make a brush that does that?
Yeah, and they also could have made it. As you said, they could have made it where Bowser Jr., since he is one of the main crux villains of the story, that he could have gone into his like place that he works or whatever, and he could have stolen this from them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure, though, in the thing he says that a strange old man in the white coat gave it to me, but
Yeah, that
could
could
just
be a lie.
Bowser Jr. being deluded or something. Like maybe he believes that
That could
he
be.
was given it when really he nicked it.
That could be a lie, though. He could have just said that just to
Yeah.
throw EGAT under the bus, and then just be like, "I stole this," but no, guys, he gave it to me. Don't worry, you know, that sort of thing.
Man.
So,
Man, we should do a discussion video on Mario lore.
I'm down.
Overanalyze everything.
Any Nintendo game, I am down. I mean, I'm also down. Also, just as a side note, if your fans would like to see this, comment down below. But we have a podcast on my channel where we always talk about this sort of stuff too, and I'd love to have you on it one day.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Okay, so next next level,
Yeah.
Serena Beach, which is the hotel one.
I think I remember this one a little bit because I remember a hotel, but I don't really remember too much about it.
So this has like probably my favorite mission in, and also my least favorite mission. So the first one is the hotel's not there; it's disappeared. But there's this giant manta ray shape that goes across the floor, and you have to spray water at it, and then it divides
Yeah.
into two smaller bits, and then you have to keep spraying till you've destroyed them all, and they get really small and fast.
Yeah.
And I really love that mission because it's very challenging, but it's sort of one of those. I know it's kind of addictive.
Yeah, and that's what makes challenging levels so good, is because like if they're fair, obviously. If they're not fair, then screw
Yeah.
them. But if they're fair, then I know how to beat this. I'm just doing one little thing wrong, and it is addictive, so you keep wanting to come back. And that's what I think that Mario Sunshine and a lot of the Mario games do secretly well, and a lot of other Nintendo IPs also do well, as they mask, they make it really difficult and challenging the first few times you go through it, but then once you learn it, it's super easy, and I like that about Nintendo games.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, I was going into sort of the second one is called the Hotel Lobby Secret, and in this one you have to because there's like a Yoshi egg that needs a pineapple in the lobby, and the only way to get to that pineapple is you got to go into a certain room and sort of jump through a secret wall, and it's sort of like this. You have to do things like that, and it's kind of cryptic.
Yeah.
In how to find that route, because you have to go through these secret walls and hidden doors and stuff, and you eventually get the Yoshi who can eat a pink boo that's blocking the shine to get through. And there's also, you can go into the attic as well, and there's kind of like a maze up there for where you can eat the pink boos there. And yeah, it's just I get lost every time I play Mario Sunshine. This one always, I get a big barrier up in front of me, and I can never remember how the level's done.
Yeah, that some Mario games be like that sometimes, where it's just like, oh, I remember. Oh crap, no, I don't.
Yeah, And also, this level has a fun boss fight, in my opinion, against King Boo in the casino.
Yeah, King.
And he throws like fruits at you, and you have to throw the peppers at him to burn his tongue.
Yes. All the boss fights were relatively funny, except for the one where you're mutilating the squid.
Yeah.
Like, I just felt bad for him at that point. Like, but all the other bosses were really funny. Like the King Boo one.
Oh yeah.
Whenever you throw spices in his mouth, like the facial reactions he makes and stuff is hilarious. So.
Yeah. Okay, so the next level is Noki Bay or Noki Bay. This one you access by standing on the pattern near the fountain and looking up at the sun.
Yeah.
And so this one is like this giant. It's obviously a bay, isn't it? There's like this giant waterfall. And one thing about this one I remember is, first of all, Glooper Blooper returns in this level. So you get to fight him again and rip his limbs off again, which is pretty
Poor
cool.
guy.
And then there's another mission as well where you're cleaning an eel's teeth.
Interesting.
That's why, I mean, I don't know if you could call that a boss fight or not, because you're helping the seal, but I always saw it as a boss fight.
Yeah, it's not really a boss, but it is still fun. It still does the whole boss fight format. So I mean, if you want to call it a boss, have at it.
And the final, like, proper full level is Pianta Village.
Yeah.
And this one is like the odd missions are nighttime, I think, and the even numbered missions are daytime.
Yeah.
And it also has a full mission where you lose the flood pack and you got to navigate the village with all the goop everywhere, the burning ones, without a flood pack.
Yeah.
Which was really difficult.
Yeah.
But it also has the probably the most obscure blue coin in this one, where you got to go up a tree on a certain mission and shoot water towards the moon, and it makes the blue coin appear.
Wow, I never got that one. I actually didn't know that.
No, I'm not surprised.
I mean, who would have thought of
And
that,
there's
though, right?
And there's even a secret shine in that level. Not blue coin, a shine, where during one of the days you've got to go to the top of the tree and shoot water towards the sun, and it makes a shine symbol appear in the sky.
Man, I gotta do that in the freaking remaster now. I want to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of them. But also, I haven't mentioned this yet, but there's a few missions called his name's Il Piantissimo. He's this guy you've got to race.
Okay.
It's actually a character from Zelda.
What?
They've used the running man in Ocarina of Time or postman from Majora's Mask.
Wait.
It's actually the same character model.
Oh, for a second I got confused. I thought you were saying there was a crossover. Like, it was like, you know, the actual character from Zelda. I was like, wow, what?
Oh, it could be. But it's they've reused one of the character models for that one, which might, because obviously the character in question was all about running fast, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think I just gave Nintendo a great idea. Their next collab's gonna be throwing Mario in freaking Hyrule or something.
You could. There are references to Mario in some of the Zelda games. So.
I actually kind of wish they would.
Yeah,
do
it
that.
could happen.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I would love that. Outside of Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, obviously, I'd like to see a proper Zelda Mario crossover.
Yeah, like they have to
where you
fight
play as
Ganon.
both Mario and Link, and yeah, like Ganondorf and Bowser team up. Link rides on Yoshi instead of a horse. Like, that would be amazing.
And then Yoshi can just eat Ganon and game over because he takes all of his abilities.
Oh, definitely. So anyway, the final actual level in this is Corona Mountain, which obviously that's got an unfortunate name now, but back then it was alright.
Yeah.
So what did you think of this? This one is only one linear level, isn't it, to get to Bowser? But I found those boat controls really difficult.
I agree that the boat controls are difficult, but me personally, when it comes to linear or open, I prefer linear because, like, open it's really cool. You can go wherever you want and blah blah blah. But when it's linear, you can follow a path, but the world feels alive as you're doing it. So you know where you're going, but the world feels alive and vibrant as you're going through it. And I really enjoy that more than open-ended game design, because open world games, it's just like go wherever, and it's easy to get lost because you can literally go wherever, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
then with linear, it's like just point you in this direction, look around you, everything's gorgeous. We designed everything to be perfect around you. You may not be able to go in some of these buildings, but they look great. And then you just go and you run through the world, you play the level, and you do it. Now onto the boat controls. I sucked at that mission, so I raged quite a bit whenever I was playing it. But it felt great to get through it. Like, every mission in this game, when you finally beat it, when they're really hard, it's like, yes! Kind of like the feeling you get from Dark Souls nowadays, where it's just like you beat a boss that you've been sitting there for like 4 hours trying to kill, and then you finally do it. It's that sort of gratification, and I loved it. So, there you go.
Yeah, the thing I found about the boat controls, I can understand sort of like you shoot the water left and the boat will turn right. I understand that mechanic, but sometimes I would shoot at a certain angle and the boat would turn and move one way. But then I sort of go to that angle again and do it, and then it'll go a different way.
Yeah.
I really struggle. Even when I played the 3D All Stars last year, I really struggled with that. But anyway, then you get to the Bowser, and there's actual proper voice acting for Bowser,
which is awesome.
Sounds weird. And I can't wait to see if Jack Black's gonna model it after that or not. Or
oh, I forgot he's Bowser in the movie, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, good lord.
Mario, how dare you destroy this family vacation? And then after because obviously you got to use the rocket nozzle to smash the platforms and make them fall down. And then you get that little heart-to-heart with Bowser and his son afterwards.
Yeah.
Where Bowser you can tell Bowser sort of hesitating and stammering a bit, where he's like, I need to tell you something about Princess Peach.
You need your mama.
And yeah, and and then Bowser Jr. says he already knows, and you can see the look in Bowser's face, like,
he's like, bro, that's not my mommy.
Yeah.
I did all this for nothing.
Yeah. But then when Bowser Jr. turns to him and says, I want to fight that Mario again, and then Bowser's like, you can see Bowser's like really proud of him.
Bowser's like, yes.
Bowser's a good father.
Bowser's a good dad. You know, he's already teaching his kid to hate Mario, so we can have 20 more years of Mario hating dinosaurs.
So the real question is, who is Bowser Jr.'s mother?
Ooh. That is a real...
I know the answer. Do you?
I'm trying to think, because it's one of the princesses, which... Oh, what's the one with the red... I think it's red hair. I want to say Daisy? Right?
You think
Daisy's
Daisy,
that one?
yeah.
Yeah, that's who I think it is.
There was a video like 6-7 years ago where Shigeru Miyamoto was asked a bunch of questions about Mario, and it was just like the question would come up on the screen and Shigsy would either nod or shake his head, and when the question came up, do you know who Bowser Jr.'s mother is, Shigeru Miyamoto just nods his head and then points at himself.
Oh my.
So there you go. Shigeru Miyamoto is Bowser Jr.'s
yes,
mother.
Shigeru Miyamoto gave birth to an eventually 20-foot tall dinosaur that's gonna weigh 50 times his weight. Good job, buddy. And somehow he and Bowser made it happen. I'll let you guys figure out how that worked out in your heads.
And then something which I think the game was trying to portray as sad, but when they fall down and the flood basically dies.
Yeah.
And although I loved the flood as a mechanic, I found its voice really annoying. So we're supposed to feel sad for this thing. I was like... but then they fix flood and it says the vacation starts now at the end. I'm like, oh, just when I got my hopes up. It's come back to life.
Come back, come back. And whenever you're sitting there singing, baby, come back. But
So yeah, that's Mario Sunshine as a whole. But we haven't talked about the hub world, Delfino Plaza.
well, let's do it. We got time.
Yeah. So people always talk about obviously Peach's Castle in Mario 64 was like the first big hub world in a Mario game. But I think Delfino Plaza outdoes it, and just in how interesting it is.
Yeah, I actually really like Delfino Plaza because I remember just running around in it and seeing what are those people called? Like they kind of look like
Piantas.
Yes. Thank you. I didn't have to describe it.
I'll continue that sentence. I want to know how you were going to describe them.
Oh, I was gonna say that they just look like a kind of fat tree. that's what I was gonna say. I was like the fat tree people. That's what I was gonna say.
The floppy noses.
But good to know you have the real name ready and waiting to go. But anyway, moving on. Whenever we were going through those hub worlds and seeing all of them just interacting and hanging out, and then seeing the little city over here and seeing the water over there, and the water in the remaster, I don't remember if it looked this good on GameCube because it's been a while, but on the remaster the water looks great. Like those water physics are really good in the remaster.
Oh, the water looks great on GameCube as well. Even today, like even games like Wave Race, Blue Storm, the water looks so good in those games.
Yeah, I haven't played my GameCube in so long. Like that's why I was happy that the 3D All Stars thing happened, because like obviously, you know, if the GameCube game comes to a bigger, more powerful console, you want to play it on the best thing you can play it on. So.
Oh yeah.
But the water looks great, so you have the peacefulness of like a ocean beach setting with a really cool city with really cool inhabitants, and they actually do joke around with each other. Like if I remember right, they have like little voice. They're not voice acted, but they have the little bubbles above their head that like have words in them and stuff. So whenever you're running through, you can see their conversations. It's really cool. Like it was one of the first ever hub worlds that made me go, wow, this is fun. Like I could just run around here for about like 30 minutes and enjoy it.
Yeah, honestly, because one really amazing thing they did in this hub world as well was the market stall stands that you could bounce on them.
Yes, I love jumping.
And
on
I just, yeah, so good. And another thing was, and whenever like a new game mechanic got added, such as Yoshi or the rocket nozzle or the turbo one, it would be available on the hub world, so you needed them to access a new level. Like Yoshi had to eat that big pineapple in that pipe, and the rocket nozzle was needed to get to that top thing. But they were there for you to practice with and muck around with.
Yeah, and I love that about this, because I remember just jumping on top of the umbrella, bouncing up, landing on the roof, and then going to another area of the roof because I freaking shot my flood gun at the floor and I flew 30 feet in the air and I wasn't ready for it.
And also plenty of secret areas to find, and secret shines and blue coins using these things. Like you use the turbo nozzle like to go through one of the doors, and there's like a secret level in there. And like the rocket, there's like if you take the boat underneath that bridge bit and like either jump up high or rocket nozzle up, that's where the pachinko machine level is. That everyone loves.
Good old pachinko. The thing that put Konami to bed, death, whatever.
But my goodness, yeah.
That's a conversation
that level
for another day, isn't it?
I never got the hang of that one. But again, the ones, like I said, the watermelon ones, the pachinko machine, and there's the other one I'll talk about in a bit, but they're all, you don't need to do them to beat the game.
Yeah, they're just there for a fun extra for someone that just wants to mess around a little bit.
So if people do find them too difficult to manage, or you know how frustrating they are,
just leave them.
They're optional. You know?
Yeah.
But the other one was this one where you're riding on a leaf across like this water that's moving, and I think you got to get the red coins on it, and if you fail then you die. And the thing about this one was, to get to this level you had to ride Yoshi along a boat to an island, then jump on another boat which took you to this wooden platform in the middle of the ocean, then wait for another boat to take you to this island in the distance that had this fire goop thing that you had to put out with Yoshi's fruit juice, and that was the only way to access it. And so it took a long time for you to even get to the entrance to this level. And if you got game over on it, you'd have to do that Yoshi journey all over again.
Yeah, and I can understand why some people may not want to do that. I mean, for me and you, it's personally a lot of fun because we just want to experience everything Mario has because we're Mario fans. But, you know, for someone that's new to the series, I could see why they would play through that and be like, you know what, I don't feel like doing this today, sort of mentality.
Again,
so.
It's optional.
Exactly.
Yeah, did you ever 100% the game then?
No, because as I said before, like the ones where you shoot the sky to get the shines and stuff, I didn't know that was a thing until you just now told me. So, and I did skip some of the missions.
Yeah, I did back in the day, but I say I had to use a guide for the more obscure ones, and because I know in modern games as well, they would put a hint that something was there.
Yeah. Like a noise or something.
Yeah, so but if you do 100% it, you get to wear sunglasses, which actually makes the screen dimmer.
That's actually kind of cool, though. That's kind of cool though, especially since the theme is the ocean and the beach and stuff. So. Oh
yeah, so and also he wears the Hawaiian shirt as well.
Yeah, that's dope.
But I think you can get that a bit sooner though, like after you've beaten the main game.
Yeah, they also put that in Mario Odyssey because that's where I wore those.
They did, yes.
They put that as a reference.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So yeah, I hope if they do an Odyssey 2, because I was expecting it for DLC to have like an old Delfino Plaza as a kingdom in Odyssey.
They could do it.
It could. I'd love to see that. There's so many moons you can get. The moons could be shaped like shine sprites and stuff like that.
I mean, imagine all the what's the word for it? Where you give homage to something old. Oh crap! I'm forgetting.
Yeah, paying homage to it's fine.
Yeah, well, they could pay homage to so many levels from older Marios in Odyssey because the whole point in Odyssey is traveling. So you could travel to so many different areas. They can make 6 Mario Odysseys and they could hit every single area in Mario history.
What they could do with Sunshine's reference is just have Isle Delfino and just have it as one big open area so you can access all of the levels as one big open world.
Yeah.
So you don't have to take the warps to get to each level. You just, you run along here and then suddenly you're at RICCO Harbour and then, oh no, there's Bianco Hills now.
Yeah, and quick question actually, because I do kind of remember this. Didn't they put Delfino Plaza in the Mario plus Rabbids 2 trailer? Because they have them running across the beach. I can't remember if it's Delfino Plaza or not, but I think they may have.
I might have to watch that again, because I haven't actually watched that trailer since E3, so
okay.
I'll have to double check that, but there could be easily, because from what I remember, there's Galaxy references in there.
Oh yeah, the very beginning is, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have to check that out. But one thing they also did was the old Delfino itself was on the map, on the promotional material for Odyssey.
And they just never put it in?
The world map, but it sort of got removed or something. So maybe they were planning to do it at one point.
I mean, I don't think Mario Sunshine was controversial or anything. I don't think, was it?
It's kind of like Wind Waker, really, where, at the time, from my experience anyway, it reviewed well, it sold really well, it was popular enough, but obviously it was before YouTube was a thing, and I went on forums a lot of people sort of my age didn't like Sunshine or Wind Waker as much, for various reasons, but now, a few years later, they're a lot of people say that's their favourite games, and again, it's one of them. I know, obviously, for you've told us in the previous video your reasons for loving Sunshine the most because of your experiences with it, and I think that sort of happens a lot in games. I'm noticing, and films as well, where they'll come out And a lot of people that have voices online will hate on it, but then 10 years later, everyone's suddenly really positive about it because these voices now are people that were kids when they came out, that grew up with them. And right now, voices are grumpy old men, like, in my day it was better, like, I think it's just how it goes, like.
Yeah, I can't really stand, like, one of the main reasons I started doing reviews on my channel is because I can't stand the whole mentality of, like, you know, back in my day, they did games like this, ha ha ha, and I'm just like, well, in today's day, they don't do that, so you have to review games in the light of where you are, like, just because it's not made like a game in the early 2000s, you can't judge it based off of that, and I started doing mine the way that I do it because I was just like, I just want to look at games the way that they're supposed to be looked at, and I don't feel like a lot of people are doing that, so.
And, you know, those old games and films, they're still there.
Yeah, and
you can still play and watch them.
And that's why I've always been on the huge side of physical media, is because with people like that, they can always go back to what they loved. It still exists. Whereas with digital, it dies. Like, you can't go back to it. Like, when a movie gets removed off of Netflix, it's gone. There's no getting it back.
Yeah. So,
just remember that, people, whenever you say digital age is more convenient and fun. No, it's not.
You've had a whole video on that on your channel, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had one pod and one video on that. Yes, I have.
Yeah. Cool. So that's a good segue into saying to everyone, well, check out Logan's channel. Again, it's linked in the top pinned comment. And is there anything else you wanted to add about Sunshine before we wrap up?
It's a great game. I think all of you should go out and try it. I think 3D All-Stars is actually worth buying if you can find it, because Sunshine and Galaxy are phenomenal games. I know the Mario 64 is too, but I haven't played that one, so I can't speak on it. But Sunshine and Galaxy are phenomenal. So that's 2 out of 3 right there that are great. So I would suggest buying 3D All-Stars if you see it. And also come on by to my channel if you're into anything Nintendo. We don't really cover news too much anymore, but we do reviews, nostalgia videos like this one. We cover collecting, and we talk about the game industry as a whole. So if that's your thing, come on over.
Well, brilliant. Yeah, and Mario 64 I think is really good, so, you know, so it's worth it for that as well. So yeah, thank you so much, Logan. Again, I've mentioned his channel's there, and thank you. Make sure you subscribe to me as well. I'd like that.
Yes.
I really would like that, you know.
And if
you want to.
And if for whatever reason you're coming from my channel and you haven't heard of Dave yet, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that like, and tell him Nintendo Hub sent you.
We play Mario Party a lot on stream nowadays.
Yes, we do. I need to get that so I can join up on your streams. I don't have it yet.
Oh, definitely. There is a physical.
Good.
Cool. Right, so thanks everyone. Let us know in the comments as well what your memories on Mario Sunshine are as well. That's the whole topic of this video, isn't it?
Yes,
So thank you so much for watching, everyone. Thank you, Logan. I'll see you in the next one.
Alrighty. Much love, everybody. Hope to see Dave on the podcast soon.